One building built over 35 years ago and located in the center of one of the world's busiest theme parks still exists today, after basically being empty for over 20 years. My name is Sam and welcome back to Expedition Epcot. Or well, maybe this should be Expedition Extinct? This is an odd one, and we will not be looking at the history of an attraction, but of a building itself. Let's take a look as we take a stop and look at the Odyssey Center in Epcot. Located between Future World and World Showcase, right between Test Track and the Mexico Pavilion, is a strange building that has existed in the park since opening day in 1982. Technically part of Future World, the Odyssey Restaurant opened with the park along with Sunrise Terrace and the Stargate Restaurant and offered a further counter-service location for guests to enjoy. The restaurant offered such staples as the Odyssey Burger, which was your typical Disney burger, Voyager Hot Dog, your typical Disney hot dog, and the Discovery Salad. Surprisingly, your typical Disney salad. Shortly after opening, the restaurant also started to offer breakfasts. At the time, the restaurant could only be accessed by one of two bridges, the bridge from Mexico or the bridge to the center of Future World. Later on, about a year after opening, they added a third bridge connecting the restaurant to the World of Motion. The location, though, was not very convenient for guests and saw nowhere near the footfall of Stargate Restaurant located right in the heart of Future World. The first plans for Epcot, though, had the Odyssey Restaurant in a different location, located much closer to Communicore with a much more central location. Unfortunately, during the planning of Epcot, a sinkhole was discovered, and that option was no longer viable. The sinkhole is actually the large lake in front of the building. The restaurant was built located in its current position, making it slightly out of the way for guests, and really the only reason to visit the area was to visit the restaurant. Early in the 1980s, the restaurant had a singer and musician entertain guests on stage. During the late 80s and early 90s, a live show with characters was added called Mickey's Rockin' Celebration. Characters would dance on stage to entertain guests and visit guest tables, which no counter-service location today offers. The restaurant started out busy during the first few years, but business started to slow, especially considering the variety of dining options close by in World Showcase. The restaurant would only operate until July 1994. So why does this building still even exist? Well, the Odyssey Center, as it is now shown on the park maps, houses more than just the closed restaurant. A few of these are still available to guests today, such as the Baby Care Center, First Aid, and maybe the best restrooms in Epcot. No, actually, definitely the best restrooms in Epcot. Behind the scenes though, this building houses many vital cast facilities. The custodial team's offices are located here, but more importantly, the cast members' main cafeteria is located in the back of this building. A small cafeteria with mostly vending machines is also located behind the American Adventure, but the majority of cast would take their breaks to this day in the back of the Odyssey building. In the early days when Disney ran the cast cafeterias themselves, cast members would be shared between the Odyssey Restaurant and the cast cafeteria, and they would work in both areas as needed. When Aramark took over the operation of Disney cast cafeterias is around the same time that the guest restaurant closed. Cast members could no longer work in the cast side as it was ran by an outside company. Aramark ran the cast food side of its operation at the parks for multiple years, until 2013 when it was taken over by Sodexo Magic, who had been doing the cast food at Disneyland since 2007. The cast member cafeteria also contains a Subway restaurant. Interestingly, the old kitchens located behind the large curtains which hang inside the building for the guest section of the restaurant are still in use today, but for a different purpose. They actually cook all of the pretzels sold inside of Epcot. Each pretzel is coated, salted, and cooked, and then a cast member in radio contact with the carts around the park travel around refreshing the stock and replacing the older pretzels to keep them fresh before returning back to Odyssey's kitchen to get more. Since closing though, the guest side of the Odyssey Center has only been used for special events and is now frequently used during the multiple festivals throughout the year, offering select food and beer options. For the 35th anniversary, a walkthrough exhibit of the history of Epcot was also added for guests to enjoy. The building hosted the odd special event and conventions, but has barely been updated since the closing of the restaurant. Really though, it was the need for cast member services that has helped to keep this building in use since the opening day of Epcot in 1982. It may seem like this building has sat abandoned for multiple years, but has actually been in constant use since opening. While it seems to have found its use now as a festival building and offering ample space and merchandise for the events, the demand for a new counter service in the location just isn't there. Disney seems content with its current use and has been for over 20 years now. Thank you again for joining us on Expedition Epcot. If you enjoyed this video and would like to come along for the tour, please do like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.